Hello?
Let's play a game.
You know you're like the 10th guy to try this, right? It never works out for the dipshit in the mask.
Maybe. But there's never been one like me, Gale.
How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to the Airing Austin YouTube channel. My name's Austin, and today I saw Scream 6, Ghostface Takes Manhattan. Okay, that's not the actual title. I got this movie poster leaving the theater. That was pretty cool. I don't think I've gotten a movie poster since Logan back in 2017, so kind of felt like a really cool movie-going experience. Not only that, I saw this little 3D printed cup with a little Ghostface statue on top of it. It was only like $11, which is kind of cheap for movie theater standards, but yeah, I just had to get all the Ghostface merchandise that I could find. But before we delve any further into this movie review, I will be discussing some in-depth spoilers. So if you guys don't want to listen to that, feel free to check out, come back after you've seen the movie. I had a pretty good time with this, so I'm really excited to jump in and talk Scream 6 with you guys. So Scream 6, what exactly is it about? Well, if you guys have seen the prior Scream movies, you guys have a pretty clear understanding of this one. Basically, Ghostface is back, except this time they're in New York City. And that's basically it. We're trying to find out who the killer is. We're deducing who it is. Now, having played Among Us pretty recently, connecting that with this movie, it's been kind of fun. The whole movie, I'm thinking this is just one big Among Us chat room trying to deduce who the killer really is. But man, this movie started out very, very strong, in my opinion. I thought the direction they took with it, I was like, I'm not sure at first. And then I'm like, oh, they're going this direction. And I'm like, Flash from Spider-Man? He turns out being the new Ghostface. Not for long, maybe 5 minutes until he gets killed off with his roommate, and they're both trying to come up with this way to kill the main characters, both Sam and Tara Carpenter. They're both on the chopping block here. Literally anyone in the world, they all hate these two characters because they all think that Sam is actually the Ghostface killer from the previous movie, Scream 5. And so it really goes to capture this unique story that we see a lot in real life, where people are making up all of these rumors saying, hey, maybe the killer was actually this person, and it ruins their life. And we now are seeing that in the new Scream 6 movie, and I thought that was actually a pretty compelling plot point. It really follows the main character throughout the entirety of the movie, and I thought with that, including her mental state, seeing a therapist and basically coming out and saying, hey, yeah, I killed my ex who, he was after me and it was, self-defense, but I killed him and it felt really good, actually. It didn't feel wrong. And so I absolutely love characters who are in the gray. They feel a lot more human. Otherwise, if the main character, Sam, if she was just goody two-shoes the entire time, she'd be pretty boring. She would be your typical standard Scream main character. But here, she really does come into her own character, and that's what I really love about this movie. She honestly steals the spotlight from Jenna Ortega, which I was very surprised, because Jenna Ortega, she's coming off the heels of Wednesday on Netflix. Now, Austin, what makes this Scream movie different from any of the previous Scream movies, or even the Scream TV show, which, by the way, I love the Scream TV show on MTV. The first 2 seasons killed it, literally killed it. But what I mentioned earlier, this movie, it really takes those tiny sprinkles of either character development or putting characters in the gray and really fleshing out those characters. It's those really small details, and it's not only the main character. They do this with quite a few of the other characters throughout the cast. They still feel like these carbon copy characters from other Scream movies, just with a little bit of a modernized twist. They throw them all in the gray zone, so you realistically think, okay, yeah, I really could not tell who the killer is. But if you put at least a minute of thought into who the killer is, and once you find out who the killer actually is, it's kind of in your face the whole time. I felt like, okay, I kind of knew that from the beginning. I knew that there was going to be multiple Ghostface killers out there, but I just couldn't get on board with who the killers in this movie were because it was just so straight-laced, so simple, and I felt like they were riding a really good wave up until about maybe the midpoint of this movie, and then it just kind of fell off. I personally feel that they could have had some really interesting twists thrown in there, but I felt like they played it very, very safe, to the point to where we watched some of these characters actually die on screen. There's no way that these characters could come back from such wounds. But then you hear, okay, well, hey, by the way, this person's gonna make a full recovery by the end of the movie. And it's like, okay, Scream. With one character in particular where this bothers me quite a lot is Gale Weathers. Now, I love legacy characters, and this movie agrees with me on how I kind of view legacy characters. I don't like them in my modern movies. This movie had a lot to say about legacy characters and just how unimportant they are, to the point to where, yeah, you guys are now fodder. You guys can die on screen now. It's not just these side B characters who can die. I also really hated what they did to Dewey in the last movie. I thought that was ridiculous. I didn't like the movie for how they mishandled Dewey's character. They could have done so much more, and not to mention his writing was just downright awful. But we're here talking about Scream 6, not Scream 5. We're talking about Scream 6. Now I would like to talk about the killers at this point of the review, because earlier on I mentioned that they really played it the safe route. They really did go with all the new cast of characters. They are the killers in this movie. Everyone knew they're the killers, whether it's the cop or his daughter or his son. Da-da-da, here's a twist. They're all related to Richie from the last movie. And just all of these tie-ins, these connections, I thought the movie would be on a more grand and epic scale. As the trailers gave to us, I thought, hey, maybe Stu's making a return. That would be pretty cool. I know that was a pretty big theory online. In fact, there was a scene in the movie where they saw the TV and they're like, hey, isn't that the TV that killed Stu? And they're like, allegedly, he could still be alive. And it's like, are we going to do anything with that? By the way, that's totally fine that they did not use Stu as the killer. That's fine in my books. But I think that they could have made this killer a little bit more personal. They could have made it a little bit more grand. And I think that they really did just play it safe with these killers. I just don't really see the appeal behind them avenging their brother or son, and I don't know, like a normal person. In fact, three people, they wouldn't stem off of each other like that and all think the same way. In fact, if my dad came to me and said, hey, your brother got killed because he was a killer, we should go kill a bunch of people just to prove a point, like, I would say, no, Dad, I'm okay. Like, I'm glad you're trying to bond with me on some kind of family level, but no. The one thing I can't understand is how those three characters united and thought, yeah, this is a great idea. The one thing you have to love about this franchise is just how meta it can be, because the movie also practically answers this question. They said, hey, Gale, wouldn't it be cool if one day you were the killer? It wouldn't make sense for Sydney or really anyone else, but Gale, just imagine if you cracked and you were the killer. That would be a cool movie. And it's like, why aren't we watching that? Like, yeah, Dewey died. Maybe she goes on a killing spree. She kind of cracks and loses it, and she writes her own book from the perspective of the killer. Something along those lines. That would actually be a movie I would have loved to have seen. Now, I feel like diehard Scream fans might say otherwise. I am by no means a diehard fan. I love the first movie. In fact, I saw the first movie again probably a few months ago. Point being, the first movie, it really does hold up. It holds its value very well. And I think that they could have done more with these legacy characters, made them a little bit more gray as well, because even in those movies, they were pretty flat. And to see them grow and become and develop into different characters, I think that would have been a great tipping point to push the Scream franchise in a more fresh direction. And they were really on the verge with doing that this entire movie, but I feel like they just did not stick the landing. And that's where I have to go ahead and say that this movie, it was just an okay time. It was fun. It was enjoyable, but the end, it just doesn't stick. I would love to know your thoughts and opinions down below in the comment section on this one, especially for some of you Scream fans out there. Thank you guys so much for watching my Scream 6 movie review. My name's Austin, and I will see you guys in the next one. Take care.